Subscribe to Love, Lies, and Cheating. Now let me tell you a story. It started as a joke. That's the part that still feels unreal. Not suspicion, not fear, not doubt. A joke. We were sitting at the kitchen table on a Sunday afternoon, half watching a documentary about ancestry and family trees. One of those shows where people cry when they find out they're part something they never expected. I laughed and said we should do one. Just for fun, just to see. My husband laughed too. He didn't hesitate. He didn't get uncomfortable. He didn't change the subject. That should have been my first warning. We ordered the kit that same day. When the box arrived a week later, it sat unopened on the counter for hours. Life got busy. Dishes piled up. Emails needed answers. Dinner needed cooking. Nothing about that moment felt important. Looking back, I don't know how I didn't feel it. The test came with 2 swabs, 2 envelopes, and a cheerful instruction booklet that made everything feel light and harmless. Like this was just another thing people did now. Like it couldn't possibly change anything. We swabbed our cheeks, sealed the samples, and dropped them in the mailbox together. I remember kissing him goodbye that morning. I remember thinking how normal everything felt. The waiting period was long enough for me to forget about it completely. Life went on. Work deadlines, school drop-offs, grocery runs, conversations about paint colors and vacation ideas. We had been married for 17 years. 17. Long enough that nothing felt fragile anymore. Or so I thought. The email arrived on a Wednesday afternoon while I was standing in line at the pharmacy. The subject line was simple. Your results are ready. I didn't open it right away. I waited until I got home. Until the house was quiet. Until I had a glass of water in my hand. I don't know why I did that. Maybe some part of me already knew this wouldn't be funny anymore. The results page loaded slowly. Bright colors, friendly charts, percentages and regions. I skimmed mine first. Nothing surprising. Then I clicked over to his. At first, nothing looked wrong. Then I saw the notification. Close family match found. I frowned. That didn't make sense. We had already built our family tree. We knew his parents, his siblings, his grandparents. I clicked the match. The name meant nothing to me, but the relationship estimate made my stomach drop. Predicted relationship. Parent/child. I stared at the screen, convinced I had misunderstood. Parent. Child. The age range listed made it worse. This wasn't a distant relative. This wasn't an error. This was a son. A son my husband had never mentioned. A son who was already an adult. My hands went numb. I refreshed the page. I logged out and logged back in. The result didn't change. I sat there for a long time, staring at the glow of my laptop in the dark living room, listening to the refrigerator hum like nothing had happened. My first thought wasn't anger. It was confusion. We had our kids young. We struggled in those early years. Money was tight. Time was tighter. How could there be another child? When could there have been another child? I didn't confront him that night. I didn't sleep either. The next morning, I checked the account again. Still there. The system showed a messaging option. A way to contact the match. I hovered over it for a long time. Then I closed the laptop. I needed to hear it from him first. That evening, I asked him casually how his day had been. Normal answer. I asked him if he remembered doing the DNA test. He smiled. Said it would be funny to see the results. I asked him if there was anything I should know before I looked more closely. That's when his smile faded. Just slightly. Barely noticeable. No, he said. The lie was smooth, practiced, familiar. I told him what the results showed. I told him about the match. I told him what the relationship estimate said. He went quiet, too quiet. He didn't laugh. He didn't argue. He didn't deny it. He just sat down. And that was when I realized this wasn't a mistake. This was a secret. A big one. He said her name softly, not the child's. The mother's. A name I hadn't heard in decades. A name from before we met. Or so I thought. He told me it had happened during a break we had early in our relationship. A few months when things were complicated. He said he never knew. He said she never told him. He said he found out years later when the child was already a teenager. That's when the story started to unravel. Because I knew that wasn't true. I remembered that time. We weren't broken up. We were married. And suddenly, 17 years collapsed into something thin and fragile. I asked him why he never told me. He said he was scared. I asked him why he never reached out. He said he didn't want to disrupt the child's life. I asked him why the DNA test didn't scare him. That's when he finally admitted it. He thought it would never show up. He thought the past was buried. He thought the truth had expired. But secrets don't expire. They wait. Over the next few days, I learned more than I ever wanted to know. The affair hadn't been a one-time mistake. It had lasted almost 2 years. The child hadn't been an accident. The mother had tried to reach out, more than once. There were emails, messages, letters. He ignored them all, because telling me would have meant risking everything. And keeping quiet meant he could have both lives. He told himself it was over, that it didn't matter anymore, that it was too late. But it wasn't too late for the child, and it wasn't too late for the truth. I reached out to the match through the DNA site. My hands shook as I typed. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what I was allowed to say. I introduced myself. I told them who I was. I told them I had just discovered everything too. The response came faster than I expected. They had been waiting. They had known for years. They had always wondered why their father never showed up. Why he never called. Why he disappeared. Reading their words felt like being punched in the chest. This wasn't just my betrayal. This was theirs too. My husband wasn't just someone who cheated. He was someone who walked away. Someone who chose silence over responsibility. Someone who watched years pass without looking back. And suddenly, the man I thought I knew didn't exist anymore. We talked late into the night, the child and I, comparing details, piecing together timelines, realizing how much overlap there was, how many lies had been told to keep everything separate. I confronted him again, this time with facts, this time with proof. He cried, he apologized, he said he hated himself. But apology doesn't change history, and regret doesn't rewrite years. Our children overheard the arguments. They asked questions. I didn't know how to answer. Because how do you explain that the person you trusted most built an entire life you never saw? He asked for forgiveness. He asked for patience. He asked for time. But what he had stolen wasn't time. It was truth. Weeks passed. We lived in the same house but different worlds. He tried to be helpful, tried to be kind, tried to be present. But everything he did felt hollow. Because trust, once broken that deeply, doesn't come back quietly. It screams. I met the child in person months later. They looked like him. That was the hardest part. Same eyes, same expressions, same quiet way of listening. They weren't angry. They weren't bitter. They were curious. They wanted answers. They wanted acknowledgement, something my husband had denied them for decades. Watching them sit across from each other was unbearable. I realized then that forgiveness wasn't my decision alone. There were too many people hurt by this lie, too many years affected. I eventually left. Not dramatically, not with shouting or slammed doors. I left because staying meant accepting a version of my life that wasn't real anymore. The DNA test wasn't a joke. It was a reckoning, a reminder that truth doesn't care how long you hide it. And sometimes, the smallest decisions open the biggest doors. Don't forget to subscribe to Love, Lies, and Cheating. Until we meet again.